Welcome to Still Surviving and Walking in Your Purpose. I'm your host, Gigi Blackshear. Our guest has an amazing story of what it means to be a fighter. Please welcome to our show, Miss Jinicka Campbell. Jinicka, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Jinicka, please tell our audience, who is Jinicka Campbell and what is your survival story?
Jinicka Campbell is, I would say, a fighter because life has tried to do different things to me, but I've made a choice to not only stand and continue to fight my own personal fight, but to help others fight as well.
That's amazing. You said it, not just for myself, but to help others. So tell us some more about this struggle that you've been in.
Well, I guess I could say it probably started around the age of 16 and 17. I found out I graduated when I was 17 years old, and after graduation, about 6 months later, I found out I was pregnant. So immediately, all of my perfection, because when you have a family that comes from different things, when they see one person excelling in the area, they set a pedestal there for you. So within yourself, you're immediately telling yourself, I must succeed in certain areas.
I have to accomplish this.
Exactly. So when you feel like what's failure happens, you kind of go into a mental shutdown space. Like, what do you do now? And my first thought was, I can't, doing this is not an option. Everything that, I guess I applaud women that are teen parents because they made the choice to fight on with their mistake, and I did not. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this, but that I made a decision to have an abortion at that age. So, but that's something that continued to go on with me, even with me being married with 2 kids now. Right. So with that, in just my whole life, I've been associated with different girls. I make jokes and I tell people I don't think I have normal friends. Because from me being in middle school, all of my friends have at one point, they lived with us because they had family issues or different things, and I've been the go-to person for them.
Okay, so you think you attract people that have dysfunction?
I believe so, yes. That's a great way of putting it. I would definitely say so.
So let me ask you, you talked about having to have an abortion early when you were 17. And you made that decision because the expectations that were set for you were already set really high by your family. By seeing other people accomplish certain things, it was put to you then that you had to do as well.
Or not seeing people accomplish certain things.
Or not seeing people
accomplish. By me even, making it to a certain age and not becoming a victim of certain standards was already a high standard. Because I graduated, because I wasn't pregnant yet. So it was like, she doing good because she's not doing any of the things that are the norm for some of the background that I've came from.
So really, you were setting the standard by the things that you had accomplished up to that point.
Definitely.
Okay, so after making that decision to not have your baby, how did that affect your life going forward?
I don't think I knew it affected me until later, until I started becoming more mature, because in that moment, I was saying, I'm going to school.
I'm going to do
this,
right.
this, and this. But I think it hit me because I knew it was an emptiness there, but I just did not know where the emptiness was coming from. But, the more I started learning myself and getting away from, because you can attach yourself to different people, and your personality can become a part of the people that you choose to associate with. So once I stepped back and I started examining who I am and why I act the way that I act in certain situations, then I located it's an emptiness in me from some of my own mistakes that I've made.
In spite of having made that decision, you were still able to go on and do good things?
Definitely. And that's why I launched doing my nonprofit for girls, because I've been there, and I tell my girls that my mission and it is to teach instead of judge, because sometimes when we get saved, and when we have our encounter with God, we forget what we come from. We immediately go over to being judgmental, and that's the last thing that teens need, because in that age, I didn't feel like I had anyone besides my friends that I can talk to about the mistake that I made. I couldn't say there was a responsible or an adult that I felt like I could go and talk to, and that I wouldn't be judged for whatever decisions I made. Whether I made a choice to keep my child, whether I continue to make the choice to get rid of it, I didn't have an outlook. I didn't have a person that I can go to.
One of the things you said in making that choice, you didn't want to be judgmental. You didn't want to, because that was something that you had done, you didn't want to be judgmental towards other people.
Right.
And lots of times we do that, once we've come out of something, then we want to look back at other people. But in making a decision to take the experience that you had, and I'm a firm believer that the things that we go through and survive, those things are not for us. Those things are for us to help in order to be a testament to the grace and mercy of God. And then he allows us to use those things, even sometimes negative, painful things, but he allows us to use those things in order to help someone else. So even though that experience was not a good experience for you, it gave you ammunition. And then you made a decision to take that and use it to help somebody else. And that's what makes a difference in the lives of others. I say the things that we go through and survive, the things that don't kill us, those things make us stronger. And the mere fact that you were able to go through that and survive meant that God was going to use that thing in order to help somebody else. See, he has a plan and a purpose for our lives that's far greater than we can even imagine. And he allows us to go through things and to experience things in order that we will be able to help someone else. It's just not just about us.
Right. I definitely agree.
And especially when you get into a relationship with God, if he did not intend to use those things, once we accept him, he would take us on to heaven, take us home to be with him.
Right.
But he doesn't do that. He allows us to stay here because he knows that there is some young woman somewhere that's going through the exact same things that you went through. She doesn't know that she can survive.
Right.
But she can look at you and you can tell her, I know what you're going through because I was there and this is what I did and this is what happened to me. But I was still able to have a good life. I was still able to be a blessing to somebody else. And that's when you take all of those things, because life is full of bad things. Life is full of negative things. Right. They come every day. But when you can take those negative things and turn it on its head and use it for good, that God gets the glory. So it's such a blessing to hear that you are now working with young women to make a difference in their lives. Tell us some more about your work.
Well, I do volunteer. I have one nonprofit, but it consists of two different things. I have Women of War, which is a volunteer-based organization.
Women of War?
Women of War.
I love that title.
Yes. And because, as I said, everything is a fight. I mean, whether you're saved or not, whether you have a relationship with God or not, And I
Life
always
in and
share
of
with
itself
people.
is a battle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always share with people, I didn't get saved at church or, with hands being laid or anything like that. My relationship with God is very personal because I got saved on the floor in my apartment. And I was trying to figure out, what's going on. But God,
God
He
meets
dealt
us
with
where
me.
we are.
Right, definitely. So I felt, like I said, I've always been around girls who they came to me for advice. Unfortunately, it probably was in the wrong season because I share with my teens all the time. Talk to me or talk to someone who you feel comfortable with, because what happens is you share a bunch of bad information with each other. My friends probably thought, me talking to them was good, but I really didn't even know what I was talking about. But now I have life experiences to say, different things will happen, but if you choose to fight for what you really believe you can accomplish, then you really can do whatever you want to.
I love what you said. If you choose to fight, that's making a conscious choice that you're not going to just lay down, that you're not just going to roll over, but that you're going to fight for the things that you want out of life, the things that are important to you. We know that life is a struggle, and it's full of calamity, trials, and tribulations come. That's a given. But to have that determination that I'm going to fight through it, I'm going to press on, and I'm going to have the life that I desire, it takes conscious decision, a conscious choice to do that. And it takes a determination, and it takes courage. And it sounds like you have had all of those things. Jinicka, thank you so much for sharing your story with our audience. We're going to come back in just a few moments and give you an opportunity to tell us what's next.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a few moments with more from Jinicka Campbell. Welcome back to our show. Jinicka, tell us some more about your organization.
Well, I told you that we have Women of War, which is a volunteer-based organization where we deal with giving back to any area that supports women and children. So we volunteer our services as well as host events. But this year we launched GWAP, which is Girls with Authority, Wisdom, and Power. It's a teenage
Say that
group.
again?
It's GWAP, which is what my team used the acronym for it. They came up with it, but the name of the organization is Girls with Wisdom, Power, and Authority.
I like that. Girls with Wisdom, Power, and Authority.
Correct.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so tell us what's next for Jinicka Campbell.
What's next is pushing more focus towards the teen portion of our nonprofit, because I feel that, as you know, with the media, it's just so much going on with our girls. And it can become disheartening when your passion is to help them, to see, when you cut on the news and girls are, just behaving completely different from what the norm is for young ladies. But it's easy to say, what's going on with our girls and do nothing about it. Right. So this era of our organization, we want to push more things to get to the root of why they're reacting the way they are. Because what it is it's something deeper than what the outlook is. It's something that led up to them to be fighting each other. It's something that led up to the social media bullying. So what is it? What is it that they're needing to be filled? That's what we're going to try to give that to them through doing, different workshops and things of that nature.
Well, it sounds like you have a wonderful organization, and just your desire to help young people. It blesses my heart, and I'm sure it blesses our audience. So tell us how we can get in touch with you if someone wants more information about your organization, if they'd like to participate or if they'd like to join.
Definitely. We're on Facebook under Jinicka Campbell, as well as we have a page which is WOW Inc. It's the acronym for Women of War. So they can find us there and request any information via inboxing us.
Jinicka, thank you so much for sharing your information and sharing your story with our audience. We know that it is going to bless someone. Next, we'll hear from Certified Life Coach LaRhonda Howard with some additional resources. We're back with Certified Life Coach LaRhonda Howard. LaRhonda, welcome back to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
LaRhonda, after listening to Jinicka's story, are there some resources that you would like to provide for our listeners that may be helpful to them?
Sure. When she talked about her story of abortion, I can definitely relate to it as someone that had an abortion myself. And the first agency that I can think of is First Coast Women's Services, that have a lot of services that help individuals. First, of course, they want to prevent those that's considering abortion. But if you have already done so, then they have counselors on staff that will help them through that recovery. Because as she mentioned, it turns your life upside down. You may not recognize it at first, but when you do